Thank you for joining me. I want to share this bit called A Cracker Overcomes Racism. And before I get started, I want to explain that I'm just using the word cracker just to get your attention to watch this video. Okay? A cracker is a very racist term for a white person. I've looked it up. It's had many meanings during the years. I think Snoop Dogg used it for a white person that tries to enter the black culture and listens to his music. He has a song called "Making Money Off of Crackers." Burt Reynolds' character in Deliverance referred to the mountain people, the hillbillies, the inbred people in the mountains as crackers. But I was raised, I didn't realize I was poor, but my mother told me later on in years that we were poor. And I know a lot of people made comments about our family because we walked around in barefoot. But I wouldn't call myself a cracker, and I advise you not to call me one too. You may be testing my level of spirituality and my spiritual growth if you call me that. In all honesty, we don't need to be calling anybody by any racial slurs. No, black, white, any of them. That's not the Christ thing to do, and we're not going to do it. But I wanted to share how I grew up in the South and overcame racism. Now, growing up, I didn't know much about racism. We were not taught to use the N-word, and we were, I wondered why when we picked tomatoes in the fields that the black families that picked further down the line, and we didn't associate with them until we got close enough, and the other black kids and us, we throw tomatoes at each other and had a tomato war. But it never occurred to me that we were being segregated. And through the years, I didn't know much about. I didn't even consider black people inferior or anything. I just knew that they were different. I was raised in a denomination that believed in segregation, which just means that we didn't think that we should mix. It doesn't mean that they thought black people were inferior and whites were superior. They just didn't think we should mix up. But that never really crossed my mind. I always wondered why in the world would a black person want to come to our church. I mean, they had better music and everything else, so it never dawned on me. But getting into my teenage years, I started messing around with a little bit of pot and stuff, and I know a lot of people are not going to really like this when they hear it, but we'd be sitting out on the bleachers smoking cigarettes or smoking pot, and these little black guys, they're quite a few years younger than us, would come up and start just picking on us, and just sit behind us and slap us behind the head and stuff like that. And because they were little kids, we didn't slap them back or cause anything, but I had it happen quite a few times, and I'd just get down and start walking off, and they follow me, and next thing I know, I've got a whole crowd of their brothers and sisters and cousins and friends all ganged up around me, threatening to whoop my butt. And a couple of times, but it really never happened. I think they got a bigger kick out of seeing me shaking my drawers and trembling with fear than they wanted to beat me up. I did pull a razor blade out on them one time, and they just yelled and told me to put it up, and I just put it up, and we didn't have any more. But I had that happen one time. They did, and I jumped off the top of the bleachers with 2 football helmets in my hands for protection. I don't know what I was doing with football helmets. I didn't have anything to do with football, but anyway, so that happened, and from doing that, I started developing a dislike, not for all black people, but just I started just feeling a little racist. And you know what? And I got thinking about that, and I wondered whether or not the racism was in me already, and they just helped surface it. surface it. You know what I mean? Um, so that went on for a while, and we, go back and, we go back and forth, and I started developing a real sour attitude towards blacks. And like I say, not all, because I did have some black friends that I liked. So it wasn't a general hatred of black people, but and hatred's a strong word too. I just didn't like, you know. So, and it kept on and kept on and kept on. And then finally in 1978, I got saved, royally saved, and things changed, you know. Uh, things changed in my heart. Just things were different. And how I know that it was different, I didn't have any more animosity or whatever towards any blacks. Matter of fact, one day, how I know that I was overcome, or healed, or delivered, or whatever you want to call it, was I was in the hallway one time and I was drinking a bottle of Coke. What I was doing in the hallway with a Coke, I don't know. I wasn't supposed to. But this group of black guys, my age, walked up and they caught me at the water fountain, and they walked up to me and got close and looked at my coat and said, "Hey man, give me a drink." So without even thinking, I just handed the Coke to him, and he took a swallow and he handed it back to me. And I could just see the look in their faces that they were looking to see what I'd do. So I just reared back and took me a big swallow of it. And I said, "Thank you." And I took a big sip, and then they just laughed. And they said, "All right then." And they walked off, and I never had another single problem with any blacks. And I didn't cause any problems. Which, by the way, when I was having problems, I was part of the problem. So anyway, so as I went, as I got older, got out of high school, I became involved with a church that the pastor had took a stand against segregation in that denomination, and therefore I got to start ministering on the streets in the high crime areas of Dothan at night, and I led others out, and we ministered to the black people as best we could. Got threatened quite a bit, and just through the years, I've had to pace myself. I had to still overcome. It was a continual overcoming thing because, like it or not, whether you want to hear it or not, I did have situations where I was discriminated against, or through a job, through a black supervisor. I was at one place and I was taking a break, and I heard the black supervisor and one of the black employees outside in the hallway, and the supervisor told him to do something. And he said, "Hey, go tell one of the white guys to do it." And next thing I know, the supervisor comes in the break room while I'm taking a break and says, "Hey, I need you to go do so." And stuff like that I just had to overcome. I had to just let it go. Okay? It's called forgiveness. And just get over it. It's not worth it. Christ died to heal racial differences. Let me read this verse to you. Hold on, let me put my eyes on. It's in, and this is the J.B. Phillips translation. Ephesians 2, starting with 14. For Christ is our living peace. He has made a unity of the conflicting elements of Jew and Gentile by breaking down the barrier which lay between us. By his sacrifice, he removed the hostility of the law with all its commandments and rules, and made in himself out of the two, Jew and Gentile, one new man, thus producing peace, for he reconciled both to God by the sacrifice of one body on the cross, and by this act made it utterly irreverent the antagonism between them. Then he came and told both you and were far from God, and us who were near, that the war was over, and it is through him that both of us now can approach the Father in the one Spirit. Now back then the Jews and the Gentiles were different. they were considered the two races, and the law forbid mixing with the Gentiles. The Jews couldn't mix with, but nowhere in the Old Testament did it tell the Jewish people to hate Gentiles. Nowhere. That wasn't part of the plan. But human nature did that. But I want to encourage in this time that we have in the United States, racism is being pushed upon us, and we're having to deal with it one more time, and it probably won't be the last time we have to deal with it. But I just pray that you'll just seek God. And if you haven't been born again, that is the cure for racism. Jesus is the cure for racism. And I encourage you to seek him out and have him heal you as he healed me. And thank you for tuning in. I've unfriended a lot of people on Facebook. And if you're watching this all the way to the end, if you'll let me know in the comments that you saw it all somehow, I would like to follow you on your Facebook page. And thank you again for joining in.